Live from the podcast studio, this is from Long Distance Marriage with Rich and Andrea. We're a once long-distance couple who closed 5,000 miles of distance and are now happily married.
We talk long distance, marriage and relationships.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 51 from Long Distance Marriage. We're back. We had a little bit of a hiatus while we were working on some other projects for you guys. And Rich, if you want to announce what one of those projects is.
We have a brand new website that's now live.
Same URL.
Yeah, same web address and everything. It's just hopefully a little bit nicer to navigate, a little bit more
Pretty,
a little bit easier to find you around and put your email address in to get some of the stuff we're offering. I think that's about it. But yeah, same URL, go and check it out. Tell us if it looks amazing, not if it looks shit. We don't need to hear that it looks shit.
You'd probably kill yourself if you heard that.
Yeah.
So we've had been working on that, taking up a bit of our time, hence lack of episodes the past few weeks, and putting some final touches on the ever-discussed guide, which will be coming out soon. More details to follow.
Yeah, I think this side of Christmas.
Yeah.
So if you go to our new website, probably the first thing you'll see is a pop-up that you can put your email address into, and that you'll get on our email list, and we will keep you informed of when that's coming out and some other good stuff. So go and do that. Go and do that now. Pause the episode. Go and do that now.
Elevator music inserted here. Do, 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 do. That was Christmas.
That's not elevator music. Anyway, on to the episode today. We're going to be talking about marriage, specifically.
Don't do it!
Specifically when you may want to do it and when you almost certainly shouldn't do it. Yeah.
And just kind of maybe things to look out for if you are thinking about it.
And it's very easy, I think, for us to sound like we're on our high horse here, and fuck it, we probably are on our high horse.
That's how you want to start a podcast episode.
Well, it's our show. We can moralise if we want.
Do what we want.
But, I mean, you know, we always say that it's not strictly true for everyone. Someone's going to be the exception to it, but generally, and I don't know. I think it is easier if we start with the when not to get married.
What was the rule? You didn't finish that sentence.
Well, what we're going to be saying, if we're saying, never do this, never do that. Yeah, fine. There's going to be someone who does it and goes, well, it worked for me, and I say, yeah, that's fine. But I think it's going to be easier to talk about when not to do it. And generally, I'm of the opinion in the same way as with kids. You know, people say you shouldn't have children just in the hope that they're going to fix problems in the relationship, and when I get pregnant it will bring us closer together, or we want to have a kid because we're not getting on as well anymore. That's not really a good reason to have children, and I think the same is true of marriage. If you say, I really love them, but we're just fighting all the time now, I think if we get married it'll bring us together, and it probably would do short term because you're all excited and you've got something to look forward to, but fundamentally you've still got the same problem. And marriage, I don't think marriage is a solution to a problem.
No, the thing about marriage is, like you said, in the short term, you'd be really excited and quite giddy about things, but that's about the wedding. That's about a party. And, you've all heard the quotes, it's about the marriage, not the wedding kind of thing. But I think if you already have problems before you're married, which everyone does, everyone has problems. Let's not glaze over that. Everyone has struggles and battles and things to work on in the relationship. We certainly do. But I think marriage, like you said, it's not going to fix that. And in a lot of ways, it's going to make those things more difficult. We've talked a lot in various episodes about how suddenly when you get married, all of your decisions, you need to really consult the other person. And I don't mean what am I going to have for lunch today, but all the reasonably big decisions are going to have an effect, and you need to talk about those with each other. So, suddenly you can feel like you've lost some freedom. So suddenly all those problems that were already problems can become bigger problems. I don't know if I'm just talking bollocks, but I hope that makes some sense. There's just a lot more to consider.
There's a lot to consider, and I think why do you want to get married? Because one of the things I see a lot and hear a lot is people saying that it's almost like I worry or I have insecurities and I get jealous, so I need to put a ring on it. Again, that's not the answer. I think you can bookmark all of this sort of general when not to do it. You can bookmark all together as one category of marriage isn't there to fix a problem. So if your problem is I'm jealous, I'm insecure, they're going out too much, we live far apart, we're having problems, we're drifting apart, like, then you're looking to get married because you think it'll fix the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. It never does. Marriage is something you do when you're happy and you see a future together, and it's sort of the uniting of that. It's the unification of that relationship. And it's optional anyway. You never have to get married. Sometimes it's just a shortcut. Like, when we were choosing visas, it was certainly a shortcut.
Yeah, and that's something I actually want to acknowledge early on in this episode, is that, we knew each other for a very long time. Well,
before we get there, I'm making a point here.
Okay.
That although we chose that visa, it wasn't the only option. It wasn't like, look, if we want to be together, we have to get married. There are, okay, I'll say there may be one or two scenarios. I can't think what they are, but whatever. Maybe there's one or two times when you do have to get married. But generally speaking, there's always an alternative to marriage. It's not, you haven't got the social stigma these days of having children out of wedlock, and you can be together and live together and not be married. You can be in a long-term relationship and not live together. Like, never before has it been so many options for how your relationship can look. So marriage isn't something to do because you have to, and it's not something to do because it's going to solve a problem. It needs to be something to do because you want to. And then I think we get into the conversation of, well, how early? Because obviously when you've got that honeymoon period of a relationship, that's when you really feel like, oh, I want to marry you, because it feels amazing.
Mm.
So what were you going to say?
What feels irrelevant now? We'll get to it later. I think on the timing thing, people say things like, when you know, and that's true to an extent, but that cannot be your logic behind deciding to get married, or all of it, I think. And I don't think there's any magic number, like, oh, you have to know each other for 2 years, and there isn't. Every couple is going to be different, but whatever that amount of time is, you have to have seen that person at their worst. You need to know all the baggage that comes along with them. You need to know their family, if maybe they don't have a family, but if they do, you need to know that, because that's going to be a big part of your life, probably. You need to know about, this sounds like you're filling out an application, but you do need to know about any kind of problems they have, health problems, just so that you know what to expect, and you know how you're going to be tested as a spouse, because it's one thing to have, a boyfriend or girlfriend, live-in partner, where there's a lot to deal with and maybe things are challenging. But, you can kind of at any time say, you know what, this isn't working. When you're married, you can still do that, but there's a lot more tied to it, and a lot more, I don't know, I guess red tape around it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to sort of unpack in what you just said. But one of the things that I wanted to mention as well was, it's very easy to get blindsided by one really good thing that your partner has that you worry about losing. So let's go with the really obvious one. Let's say the sex life is amazing. Then you might think, oh, well, I have to be with them because no one else has ever been this good, or this, whatever. Your sex life is suddenly better than it's ever been before, and you think, if I go with someone else, if I don't lock this person down, then it may never be that good again. And I think, one, the sex isn't the whole relationship. If they're really, really good in bed, but they're not very nice to you the rest of the time, or they don't make you feel appreciated and valued, or they just, whatever it may be, they're not really up to standard in the rest of the departments, then that's not enough. And also, the problem with sex in particular is it's likely to change over the years. So you may get with someone who's an absolute freak in the beginning, and then 5 years in, they're not a freak anymore. And then if that's the only reason you really decided to marry them, you're now in a really unhappy marriage, because you're with someone who never ticked the 9 out of 10 other boxes anyway, and the one box they did did tick is no longer ticked. So, where's that leave you?
And you know what? A lot of people are good in bed.
Yeah.
And people can learn, so...
Yeah, and if you've been with someone who's an absolute freak for a period of time, then you can take that on as well anyway. But, so on to things you were just saying then about starting with when you know. I think that's bullshit, personally. I think all that really means is you know at the beginning that you like them and you're somewhat compatible. I said before as well, one, look at the divorce rates. Everyone who got married thought they knew. No one goes into marriage hoping... No one goes into marriage thinking, oh, well, I can always get divorced. You go into that marriage thinking it's going to last and it's going to work out. And the fact that, whatever it is, let's say 50% of marriages end in divorce, kind of indicates that at least half the people are wrong. And then you've got some people in the other half who just can't get divorced, don't want to get, they don't want the shame of it, or they can't afford to get divorced, or they're just too stubborn, and doesn't mean they're happy functioning marriages. So when you're attracted to someone, that they enhance the areas of your life they need enhancing, but you don't know all the little things. You don't know how they react, what you were just saying a few minutes ago. You don't know when they have a bad day, do they take it out on you? Are they motivated in life? Are they too motivated for you in life? Are they lazy? Are they uncaring in certain situations? I mean, you have some people who are just emotionally, they're quite detached. Doesn't mean that they're bad or that they're uncaring, but maybe they're not as on your level as you need from someone. But there's a lot of stuff that you don't really see in the early days. So that period of time when I know that it's him or her, and you're in month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's so much you've not seen of that person.
Yeah.
Because they're not everyday scenarios, are they? I mean, I'm trying to think of one, but you're not going to have an argument all the time, particularly that early.
There's also another circumstance that I think that men can be a bit guilty of, and I personally know a few people that did this, or I know the girl, in the relationship that they did it to. Some guys propose because they want the girl off the market. That might be because they know that they're friends with an ex. Not that anything inappropriate's happening, but a lot of guys will sometimes feel like they should probably propose because otherwise they might get interested in someone else or something down the line. And I think that can be a male trait sometimes, not in all men, absolutely for sure. Kind of that possessive trait of, well, that person is mine, that person belongs to me, and I better put a ring on the finger, otherwise someone else will. And that's absolutely not a reason to get married. Yeah,
because what you're really saying is that you're worried they're going to leave you.
Yeah.
So the one really obvious thing is, well, if they're agreeing to marriage, then odds are they weren't going to do that anyway. And the second thing is, just because you're married, people still cheat if they want to. Because maybe you're let's use your example. Let's say the guy proposes, take off the market. She's thinking, yeah, actually he's pretty stable, he earns good money, he's a good provider, I'll just be discreet on the side. So it doesn't it doesn't prevent people cheating or anything. And which is why I said before, that marriage won't fix it. It won't stop anything bad happening. It just means you put yourself in a very, very expensive and lengthy process to separate yourself than when you're not married. I
think we're in a fortunate time, even 30, maybe even 20 years, maybe probably 30 years ago or more. How many movies have we seen? How many people have we heard about in previous generations where the girl gets pregnant and they have a shotgun wedding, and it's like, well, you got to make it right. We're lucky in that we live in a time where, people who have children that aren't married aren't really, at least not by peers and people in your same generation, looked down upon. We have some really good friends that have been together for years, have kids, or kids that have people that have kids first and decide to get married. It's not, there aren't so many rules nowadays. So I think in previous generations, or even maybe the generation before us, you know, there was a lot of pressure. If you'd done that, it was really taboo. You can't do that. You have to, you graduate, you get a job, you get married, you have children. That's the chapters in the order that they should be in. But now you can kind of put things in your own order. People usually move in together, then they get married, then they have a kid. Like, I don't know. I just think that people don't need to worry about, well, this is how it should be and this is how my story should look, because people are living in all sorts of colors at the moment. Like, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So that is a benefit, that you shouldn't have to feel pressured that it's something you should do. But, you know, also look at marriage for what it actually is and see if that's what's really important to you. Because I think some people get really excited about getting married when really it's, you know, it's the party that's exciting them, or it's the attention that they want.
Yeah.
Or, like you said, they think it's going to put some Band-Aid on the relationship that actually it's not going to. Again, going back to that example of, well, you got pregnant, so now you have to get married. Oh, okay, well, that guarantees we'll stay together forever and be a family. We were forced to get married because we got pregnant. Like, no, that's not necessarily true. It's this formula that people try to push on you that doesn't always work.
Yeah, I mean, really, when you say what is a marriage, it like, there's nothing that marriage is that's not in a long-term relationship.
Except a piece of paper.
You got the paper
and some jewelry.
Well, there may be some legal arrangements, and maybe you get some tax benefits, and maybe I've heard, you know, if one of you's in hospital, then if you're the spouse, that's different to you not being the spouse. Yeah, you know, there are some benefits, but that's not a reason to get married. If you're in hospital, I want to be able to get into you quicker.
Although it would be upsetting in the moment.
Yeah, sure it would. But what I'm saying is that if you haven't got that long-term relationship, if you haven't got that stable base, because that's what it is, you know, like, if you imagine marriage is the roof of a house, and the relationship itself is the foundation. If you don't build that, if you go straight to the marriage, and that roof's got nothing to sit on, you haven't got a house.
Deep.
It's very deep.
It's really metaphorical.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, you have to start from the ground up. You have to build the foundation. You have to you build that relationship brick by brick, and at some point you say, let's get married, and that's just when you've reached a point when you say, yep, I see this being the last house I ever live in. I've built my dream home. I'm sticking with it.
There's some story that's coming to me from like Vacation Bible School as a little kid about some guy who kept building his house on sand and he couldn't figure it out.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Why it kept falling down, and then, like, I don't know if he decided to build it on rock, or there was some other dude nearby that built it on rock, and he was like, oh, your houses don't fall down, mine do. So yeah, similar thing.
Yeah, you have to just, it's a process. You start at the beginning, you build it brick by brick, you develop that relationship, it's very stable, you build a lot of love, and you learn, as all the things we've discussed from episodes 1 through 50, really, you learn the benefits of arguing and how to prevent future arguments, and you learn each other's trigger points and what makes each other happy and unhappy, and you commit to the date nights and all the little things that go into making the relationship you've got. At some point down the line, you say, yeah, let's get married and be married.
Don't propose like that.
No.
Yeah, let's get married and be married.
Yeah, you know, at some point you reach that conclusion, but you can't be. Well, again, you know, you can be, but I don't really see it being the right thing to do. That we're so early on in the relationship, you know, the first 6 months, you're like, yeah, let's get married. Because what's the need anyway? Like, you're either doing that because you feel like you have to, or it's the only way we're going to get a visa, it's the only way we're going to see each other. And that's not really a good reason to me. That's not doing it for the right reasons. That's waiting for something to go wrong still. Or you're doing it because you feel like you have to, or you feel like it's going to fix a problem. And I just can't see any reason why rushing into it can possibly be seen as a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. Rushing is not good.
Well, no, rushing's not good.
But I think that I can understand and relate to people who are in a similar situation to what we were. You know, I mean, we started talking when we were 17. We talked a lot off and on for the following, 6 years, 7 years. How old were we?
Well, 17 to 23.
So 6 years, I guess.
Uh-huh.
By the time we finally met. And then, hours and hours and hours and hours, probably thousands of hours of conversation happened over those years before we finally met. And then, we had a month together in the same, in each other's company, and then we were apart for a few more months, and then we had 6 months together, and then we got married. So, as I was going to say before, when it was probably not on the right bit of the topic.
It was actually 8 months before we got married.
From we met?
Well, yeah, because only 6 months that we were in America. We came back here for 2 months. We got married in early September.
We met, though, in June, and we got married the following September.
Yeah, but you said it was another 6 months. It wasn't. It was another 8 months.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever, numbers, but...
8.5.
Whoa,
It was more than 6.
Okay, whatever. But by the time we got engaged, though...
You're thinking... Oh, yeah, okay, when we got engaged, you're thinking from January through to June when we moved back, but actually it was December when you came, and then when we got married in September, we hadn't had any time apart in that period of time.
Just trying to get people to know an idea. They can read the story if they want.
Yeah, well, still. You're looking at 8.5, 9 months of continuously living together.
Yeah, which even still is pretty short. Like, if you think people, we met in a bar, and then we moved in together straight away.
Yeah.
And got married in 9 months, you think, okay, you're crazy.
But there were things in months 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 that we learned that we didn't know in months 1 to 4.
Of course, yeah.
Even living together, you don't see everything straight away. You see, and even now we learn things about each other. But that's what you can't wait 50 years to get married.
But what I wanted to say was, we looked at visa options. We knew that, we knew we wanted to get married. We had talked about marriage probably from the time we were teenagers. Like, not gonna lie, we had not going to say when you know, but we had a really good inclination that, we were a really good match. We had a lot of conversations. We talked about a lot of serious things. We talked about children. We talked about illnesses and health conditions. We talked about, anxiety. We covered the dirty, dark, ugly stuff. And we weren't afraid to talk about that, which I think is another thing people need to make sure they've done and aren't afraid to do before they even think about moving in together. But what I'm trying to say, and I keep kind of just farting about and talking about other things instead, is that we probably wouldn't have gotten married as soon as we did if our situation hadn't been what it was. But we knew we wanted to get married, so we weren't rushing into it. We just thought, we know we want to be together. We know we want to get married. The easiest way, given the countries we live in, is for us to get engaged. We know we want to do it anyway.
Yeah, it didn't put marriage on the table for us. It just sped it up a little bit.
Yeah, we just decided we know we want to get married. We've had those conversations. We've spent that time together. We've gotten to know each other's families really well. We knew each other's mental health histories, each other's health histories, beliefs, religion, and children, everything.
But still, I mean, if anyone's listening to this and they're 2-3 months in and they say, well, I want to get married soon, and you know what, there are people who've been together for 20 years and still get divorced, so this doesn't mean anything. And, I get that. So, and that's not really incorrect. There are people who will know each other. They've been engaged for years and they still end up getting divorced. But the fact is that you can't account for everything. So, maybe they have been engaged for years, maybe they've been married for years, and they did everything quote unquote right, and they still get divorced. But you never know why. People aren't infallible. Someone may cheat. Someone may get eyes for someone else. Someone may just have enough. People change, and you never know what's behind closed doors. So this is not to say that it makes the marriage completely bulletproof, and so that. But that's still not a reason to me that...
It betters your chances.
Exactly, that betters your chances. So someone else getting divorced after years does not prove that... It doesn't disprove the rule. Every rule has an exception, and maybe they're it.
And also, I think there's an age you probably should be. I don't know what that age is, but I have some friends that got married at 21, and neither of those marriages lasted. And both of them had known each other for a few years. And both of them, it wasn't because anyone cheated or anyone became a jerk. It was because they didn't finish growing up before they got married. And then a couple of years in, they were different people. And they wanted different things. One, she was still wanting to have fun. She was like 23. And she liked going out with her friends and drinking. And all he wanted to do was work. And suddenly they had nothing in common anymore. Neither of them were bad. It just didn't make sense. The other couple, I don't really know what happened because I wasn't very close to them after they got married just because of where we lived. But all I know is, again, we just stopped making sense together. They fell in love young at like 17, 18, got married at 21, and then suddenly it was like, whoa, wait. Like,
that's a good point. Like, someone, it's not that they have to be bad. It just means that the compatibility is not
there
necessarily
anymore.
there. And again, that's not something you're going to know if you're apart. If you're long distant, like, you're not necessarily going to know how much they need to work. Or
I mean, this is why people are always surprised to hear that someone married their high school sweetheart and made it through and like have had children and like they're in their 40s or whatever, because it's so unusual, not because you're too young to be in love or know what you want, but because you change so much between the ages of like 17 and 25. Like, completely different person. You're not grown up yet. And
if you do marry really young and it works out, and then 40, 50 comes around and they go off the rails because they feel like there's a resentment that they missed out on their childhood because they were just in this relationship, and that stereotypical midlife crisis. But the thing is, as well, is
you're not going to do that, are you? Because we got married kind of young.
Yeah, but we weren't high school sweethearts like that. But we
sowed our oats before we got together.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there are certain things that you just don't know what it's like because you haven't experienced it. For example, if you are 17, 18, 19, fully convinced that your high school sweetheart is the one, because when you don't know any different. So it takes listening to someone who's 10, 20 years older who can say to you, you're really going to change considerably by the time you're 25. But you don't know that, and people used to tell me that, and I think, no, I won't. Like, I'm going to be the same. And of course,
different.
there are big elements of you that are the same, but there's a lot about you as a whole person that you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah,
you don't know who you're going to be.
And like the working world and the adult world is just going to change. You think, oh wow, shit, like that's different than I thought it was going to be.
But so just before we move off from this, you're going to change, but your partner's going to change, and you may not go in the same direction. You may completely go opposite ways, and that's no one's fault, and you can't hold it against each other, and you can't resent each other. It's just part of developing as a person. So it's a huge risk, but then on from that, you never stop growing and changing either, and the more you know someone, the more you understand where they've come from, how they've changed, what their ambitions are, the much better idea you have of how closely that aligns with what you want to do and where you want to go.
Yeah.
You're not really going to figure it out from a month or two.
No, and I think in some ways it is nice to grow up together and go through these challenges and face adulthood together from having, so there is a kind of romanticized angle to it. And I think we were beneficial in that we did grow up together, but in separate countries and as friends, really. I mean, that's all we could be, even though what we wanted was a lot more.
We wanted the benefits.
Maybe you did. So it's just what I said.
So this is not to sound like we're ragging on marriage. Like,
no, marriage is the best.
Yeah, I like marriage.
I love marriage.
So we've said all the reasons why you shouldn't do it.
Not why you shouldn't, but when you shouldn't, really. It's like when it shouldn't be the answer.
Yeah. So we can briefly talk about when you should, and I think we'll go back to that when you know. I think that is true, or it's more true after a certain point.
When you've been together.
Once you've been together for... I mean, I think really if you're getting married inside a year, I think that's risky.
We did that, but we knew each other for
it's very different though. Yeah, okay, that's a fair enough point. If you have known each other for long, but I'm talking about if you find someone and then you get married within a year.
Also, let's just touch on this because I'm sure it happens. People who met like we did online, don't get engaged before you've met, please.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Please don't.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, probably. I mean, it has to happen, right? That people do that. That people. I mean, it must do.
Yeah. I am convinced that there are people who the only reason they don't get married before they meet is because they physically can't.
Well, okay, maybe even we don't know that, but probably.
I'm convinced.
But yeah, I think it's.
This is a world where people have sex with animals.
That's not relevant.
I'm just saying, there's people who do everything.
Why do you need to talk about that? Is it because you're half Welsh and you're thinking about fucking a sheep right now?
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know this, if you're not living in the UK, but all of them have reputations, like the Irish are drunks. What are the Scots?
Irish are stupid as well.
Okay, so Irish are stupid and drunk. Thanks so much. I'm mainly Irish. What are the Scots?
Ginger alcoholics.
Ginger alcoholics. Are they stupid?
No, I don't think they're stupid.
Okay, what are the English?
Fantastic.
No, but like, what other people say the English are?
We're like hooligans.
You're also really stuck on yourselves.
Yeah, arrogant. We don't travel well. Like, we go out abroad. We cause trouble.
Everything to be English, yeah.
Everything should be English. We cause trouble. We're loud and violent. Football hooliganism, I think, really is how people see. And the Welsh have sex with sheep.
Yeah, that's what they say. So, again, these things aren't necessarily true. Though you are kind of stuck up your own ass a little bit. Though sometimes you have reason to be. Let's be honest, you're pretty cool.
I'm fantastic. But anyway, yeah, you were saying about people who get engaged before they meet.
Yeah, sorry, we derailed a bit. Yes, it's kind of like we talked about. Don't loan money to someone before you meet them. Be careful sending nudes to someone you don't know, you haven't met. Like, if you just haven't met someone, like, I'm sorry. You don't know if they look like what they're telling you they look like. I mean, yeah, webcam and FaceTime probably really eliminates those things.
To a large extent, what you think you love is your idea of that person.
Yeah.
Because until you meet, and this isn't to belittle anyone, like we've been there, but the reality of it is, you know what they allow you to see. It's much easier to hide things about yourself from someone when you're away from them. So you only know what you're allowed to know, and then what you do is you build up a picture. I mean, really, you don't even know what their walk looks like. Like,
See, I remember seeing your walk and being like, oh, okay.
Like, you don't know it. You don't know.
But I think
anything,
even for us, having spent a lot of time talking, getting to know each other, FaceTiming. Well, I guess it was webcamming, Skyping. Hearing each other's voices and stuff. I had an idea of what. His skin would feel like, what his face would, what his smell would, you build up these things, and I'm sure he did of me. When we met, was everything exactly as I thought it would be? No. A lot of it was much better. None of it was like bad or worse. Some of it was just different. Like.
But the point is, you didn't know.
No, I didn't know, and neither did you. And I think one of the big things, I think we've mentioned this a couple times, we were massively concerned, like, shit, what if the chemistry in person just isn't like what it is on the phone or online? And that was a big concern of ours, and luckily it wasn't an issue, but it could have been.
And like, there's other things as well, like, you don't know what they smell like.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily to mean they could be dirty, maybe they are, but...
No, but pheromones.
Yeah, like, you just may not like the way they smell. You may realise they don't wash their hair as often as you thought they did, and...
I remember you told me once, I need to take a shower, my armpits smell like curry, and I thought, well, this is concerning. I don't know if I want a guy who smells like curry.
Oh, I smelled like curry.
You said that. You said your armpits smelled like curry.
Oh, I think when I said it to you.
No, you said it about yourself.
I think I was wearing some funky deodorant at the time.
You had, like, worked out or something, and you were like... And I think we were on webcam, and you, like, sniffed your armpit, and you were like, I need to take a shower, I smell like curry. And I was like, well, yeah, I don't know about this. Like, that seems strange.
It wasn't a permanent smell.
No.
But that's true. You don't... There's just a lot of things you don't know. And you don't even... They're things you necessarily don't even consider.
And you don't even know if they're good in bed. And again, that's not the only thing, but you do need to be sexually compatible.
Yeah, and I would just have reservations about anyone who really wants to rush into it, and maybe that's you or maybe that's your partner, like, because the question that the red flag for me is, what's the rush? Is it they can't get anyone else and they're so desperate to have someone that they want to lock it down? Or all the things we said before, is it fixing a problem? Is it trying to lock someone down so they're off the market? Like, it's just never a good reason. You need to know that person inside and out, and then keep growing and learning things over the years.
Together.
That's the nice thing about it.
It
Rush
is.
into it. And I think also it kind of devalues marriage to try and rush into it. Like,
You gotta earn that shit.
there is like a sacred element to it, you know. Like,
Why don't you tell yourself that?
I just told everyone that.
No, you listen to that.
But you know what I mean? Like,
It doesn't feel so sacred when, like, you know everything about each other's bodily functions and stuff, but it does it.
But even that, like, there's
an endearing part to it.
There's some intimacy in that.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, like, if you try to rush into that, like, you're trying to force a process. It's like, what takes time? Like,
Growing a plant.
yeah, you can't grow a plant in an hour just because you're really fucking desperate for that plant. You have to wait. You have to have the patience. You have to go through the process. And I think the same needs to be said of marriage.
Yeah. So when you should get married then? When you're ready.
Yeah, I think, like you said before, like, there isn't a prescribed amount of time for that. It's not like, okay, you've done 10 months and 2 weeks and you're both over 25. Like, there's none of that. But you can feel like we've experienced a number of things together. I feel like I know you pretty well. There's been no red flags. You've not hit me. You've not been aggressive towards me.
I think...
You're not selfish. Like, and those are the episode we did with David, and he mentioned about having that hierarchy of needs, and there being some things I absolutely positively need in a partner, and they're all ticked off, and there are some things that, hey, I don't like, but I can live with that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like that you eat too much junk food, or you leave your clothes on the floor, was the example we discussed with him. Like, I don't like it, but I'm not going to die on that hill. I'll pick my, like, you know, I can deal with it. So, like,
yeah.
But you need to be together for a period of time. Maybe... I think I am an advocate of living together first, because then you get to see so much more of that person when you live together. Because it's not the same as when you visit and they tidy up and make an effort. Like, when you live together and they're not changing the toilet roll, or they're not putting their dishes in the dishwasher, or they're just living in a shithole, or they're too clean and they're spending 3 hours a day cleaning the house. Like,
I'm going to be 90 years old beating that dead horse.
You're not really going to know that unless they tell you, just by going around to visit them.
Yeah.
You're not going to know that. You need to live together. But so I think you go through a process, you have the hierarchy of needs, you think we've been together a period of time.
For me, there's two real key things here for when you should be getting married. And one, that's that it's a pure choice of what you want. And two, it's not a means to an end of, oh, we need, like you said before, like, oh, it'll fix our relationship, or, well, he lives there, I live here, you know, make it easier for us to get together, you know, whatever that is. It needs to be genuinely what you want when you've... I think also your relationship has to have had a few tests.
Yeah.
Like, not necessarily cheating, like, hopefully that you never go through that, but, you know, some big, gnarly fights where, God, you just want to beat the shit out of someone.
But you don't.
But you don't. Absolutely don't. But that's the other thing. Like, I think people need to know that love is, like, real marriage love is a lot of feelings, and not all of them are nice.
But on the wanting to beat the shit out of everything, we should just point out too that it's also not okay for women to hit.
I don't think anyone thinks it was.
I think some people do.
Well, I don't think anyone thinks that we were implying it was.
Oh, no. We weren't implying it was. I just want to take the opportunity to say, like, to the men out there, if you're on the receiving end of it, you're still on the receiving end of it, and it's not okay. Like, because there's some people who think, oh, she's just a woman, she can't hurt me, she's too small, and, you know, all that kind of thing. And
but it's
don't
it's
tolerate
the
it.
meaning behind it.
Exactly. Like, if she's hitting you, even if it hurts, or even if it doesn't hurt, or you, maybe there's shame in admitting to people, but, like, that's not something you should put up with either. So it's not just the man wanting to hit you and whatever. Don't put up with that either way.
No.
So you want, if there's a lot of feeling, there can be some volatility, there can be anger, and that's fine. Like, the the anger leads to the makeup and
And I'm
the
going to
learning.
confess something, like sometimes I'll ask him to do something simple. Like, oh, can you just make sure you switch on the dishwasher before you get home? It has to go on. And he'll be on his phone. Yep, Did you listen? Did you hear me? Yep, dishwasher, And I come home and the dishwasher hasn't turned on.
Yeah, but we've done this in the episode, and I've explained that I don't really hear things in the morning.
Yeah, I know, but
it's not my time.
But I'm just explaining the feelings. Like, what you've done is not criminal. Like, you forgot to turn on the dishwasher. Yeah. Everyone does that. But sometimes it's just the way you feel about it. Like, I will come home. Okay, this has happened maybe like 4 times since we've been married. And I think, what the fuck? Why can't this fucker turn on the fucking dishwasher? It's not rocket science. He has a college education. And I will just go sometimes out loud.
I mean, in fairness, my college education didn't cover dishwashers.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you're not an idiot. You can figure it out. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you just get so mad at them. Like, and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
And you'd get really mad at me sometimes.
And also, like
sometimes I'll say something that I just think is kind of a cute comment, and you'll be like, I can't believe you talk to me like that sometimes. And it's just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is sometimes because you're together a lot and, you know, when you're married, like, you can store up the resentment.
Yeah.
So it's not there all the time. And then there is just this one thing, you think, do you know, fuck you.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. And again, you're not likely to get that when you're 3 months in, or you only see each other on dates every week or whatever. Like,
you spend a couple nights at each other's house.
Yeah, you're on your good behaviour. You
suddenly have no space. Like, even when you're sleeping.
It's the difference between when you see your friend's parents or your girlfriend's parents and you're on your best behaviour. It doesn't matter how fucking often you see them. You're still on your best behaviour because they're their parents. It's the same kind of thing. You're on your best behaviour with your boyfriend, girlfriend for quite a while. And then you know, I think when you live together...
the floodgates open.
At some point you think, yeah, this is cool. They're fine.
Yeah, it's not even
that's when you see the other person.
But yeah, I'm just saying that, like, there's a lot of feelings, and not all of them are good. Most of them are very good feelings. But I think marriage teaches you how much you can love and get frustrated with the same person, really. That's what it comes down to. And you just need to make sure that you're in a place where you're prepared for that and you're not going to get shocked. Because things can change quite quickly after you get married on that side of things. And you want to make sure that your relationship is solid enough and you know each other well enough that there's something left after that excitement goes. And then Jesus Christ, why can't you turn on the dishwasher? He's so fucking stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So should we wrap it up?
If you want to.
So don't forget to check out our new website.
It's so purty.
longdistancetomarriage.com. Also, Twitter and Instagram, we're still Mr. and Mrs. Distance, but there's been some confusion with people thinking it's Mr. and Mrs. Distance. It isn't, but if you search Long Distance to Marriage on there, we should come up. Find us the easier way, and our guide to long distance relationships will be coming. I mean, it's nearly December now, so yeah.
It's only just November.
Not many weeks away now, so if you want to get your hands on it, visit the website, put your email address in, we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, and sorry if we were away for a bit, but we should be
Absence
back,
makes the heart grow fonder.
That's why we got
They should
married.
love us more now.
I guess so. Bye!